to this. Wait, can you see it? Where is it? Oh, see on this crazy thing. My Michigan, go blue. But anyways.
Okay, so I started, yeah. Any questions?
Yes, I want to know, is the form going to be posted on the Facebook page or the YouTube? I thought it was
YouTube.
Facebook.
Well, it'll be, it's right now live on, it is currently live on YouTube as soon as I hit start. And so people can watch it on YouTube right now, live. And then afterwards, we download it and we send out the link, and I will put the link on Facebook so people then can get to YouTube, but it's on YouTube.
Okay, still on YouTube. Okay, I'll say both.
Yeah, everyone. Yeah. Okay, does anyone have any questions? All right, I am going to, okay, I'm going to start it. I'm going to give people about 2 minutes or 1 minute. I'm going to give people 1 minute to enter because people have been queuing up behind. And so people are going to start coming in now. The webinar has started. This is the October 13th, 2022 CELU Candidate Forum for the Board of Education. We are so fortunate to have 8 candidates with us. Thank you all very much. As I was telling some other people, I ran for the Board of Ed and was on the Board of Education for 6 years. And I know how much work it is. And so I think it is really very impressive that you are all willing to give up your time, your family life, to go and serve our community. So thank you all very, very much. And so welcome to our 2022 Fall Candidates CELU Forum. And you're looking at all the candidates here. I am Karen Strickland, and with me is Regina Criscione. We are Regina, wave your hand. She is co-president of CELU, and as our IT people, we have Randy Rauscher and RG Malonis, who already, I guess, went offline. He blanked himself. CELU is a nonpartisan grassroots Homedale organization started in 1998 to protect our open spaces and natural resources. Over 23 years of existence, we have been successful at various open space preservation initiatives. We also advocate for government transparency, which requires an informed citizenry, which is why we are holding these candidate forums. One of CELU's most significant accomplishments has been the preservation and development of the Reminiscent Brook Greenway Trail, formerly Trace Tract, into park and hiking trails. So as you walk through the woods from Homedale Park to Bayonet Farm, you will know that people from Citizens for Informed Land Use over these 20 years have been active in creating that. Right now, we are very fortunate to have Sharon Steinhorn from the League of Women Voters. Sharon, you can raise up there to moderate our debate. And Ms. Steinhorn will be asking questions that we received from the community. A committee of CELU organized the questions to reduce duplicates and to remove bias and political language. All candidates received the questions before this evening to be prepared in their remarks. Sharon will introduce the candidates, state the rules, and ask the questions. So thank you very much. And Randy is going to be timekeeper, so I'm leaving him on the screen. I'm taking Regina off and myself off. Regina, take your video off.
Okay, thank you, Karen. It's nice to be here. Again, welcome to the virtual forum for the Homedale Board of Education Candidates Forum. And in addition, following this Board of Ed portion of the evening, you will get to meet some candidates, 2 candidates, I believe, for Homedale Township Committee. But right now, as Karen said, I'm Sharon Steinhorn, co-president of the League of Women Voters of Monmouth County, and pleased to be your moderator for tonight. And as any league moderator, I live outside of your voting district. The League is also a nonpartisan organization. We never support or oppose a party or a candidate. We are a grassroots organization that studies and supports issues for which we advocate. We have a long, proud history of supporting voting rights, educating the public, and empowering voters, and that's what we hope to do here tonight. And so let's meet the Board of Ed candidates, and then we'll get to the rules in which each candidate has agreed. And your ballot will have 8 candidates for 3 positions. And tonight we have all 8 candidates, and in alphabetical order, I will ask them to wave. We have such a full screen. So first, John Buckley, please give a wave to, so we can find, people can find you easily. Chris Demare. Thank
Hello.
you, Chris.
Thank you.
And Joanne Lamb. Thanks, Joanne. Jeff Mann,
Thank you.
big wave. Alicia Unison,
Hello, thank you.
Elizabeth Urbanski,
Hello.
Matthew Weisfeld,
Hey, everyone.
there he is, and Deborah Wilson.
Hi, everybody.
Okay, those are your candidates. And each candidate will have 1.5 minutes to give you an opening statement and in alphabetical order. And following the Q&A, there will be for the Q&A portion, each candidate will have 1 minute to answer the question. And as Karen mentioned, these questions have been supplied to the candidates in writing prior to tonight. Candidates will then have 1 minute to answer each question. I will ask them kind of randomly, so the same person doesn't always answer first or second or last. And then after all the questions are asked, there will be closing statements for 1 minute, 1.5 minutes, sorry, in reverse order of the openings. And the timekeeper we have will show us all a 30-second warning. There it is, yellow. You can't always read it, but we know it's yellow because of the blur. And when time is up, a red sign will come up. And so try to keep your eye on for each candidate speaking, keep your eye on the time. I will certainly let you finish a sentence, but after that sentence, that will be it. And so each candidate, as I said, has their opening statement, and we will begin with John Buckley.
Hi, thanks, Sharon. Just as a brief introduction, John Buckley. I was born and raised in Homedale. I had the benefit of going through all 4 schools, starting first with kindergarten and graduating from the high school in 1998. From there, I attended Lehigh University. I have a Bachelor of Science in Finance, and currently I'm managing director with Jones Lang LaSalle in the company's brokerage division, where I'm typically recognized as a top producer on an annual basis. My wife and I, Carissa, we've lived in Homedale since moving back from Hoboken for 6 years. We have 2 boys, Henry 3 and Charlie 2, and excited to be running for the Board of Ed. I truly believe it's the most important position in town, more so than the town council. This is the education of our children. And, as a Board of Ed member, I would pledge to be a strong advocate for parental rights, transparency in all, I'm sorry, there was some feedback there, transparency in all facets of the curriculum, and accountability at all levels of stakeholders.
You still have 30 seconds if you need it. It's a
Don't need
30-second
it.
warning. Okay,
That's
thank
I'm
you.
all done. Thank you.
Okay, just want you all to get used to the timing. Next opening statement is from Chris DeMar.
Thank you, Sharon. Hi, Homedale. My name is Chris Damari. I reside in town with my wife, Sarah, my son, Leo, who's a 6th grader at Indian Hill, and my daughter, Liv, a 2nd grader at Village. I grew up in Homedale. I've been a Hornet since attending 1st grade at Village School back in 1985, graduating Homedale High with the class in 1996. I had an incredible educational childhood experience in Homedale. I built lifelong relationships. It prepared me well for my future. I went on to higher education, receiving a Master's of Technology Management at Stevens Institute, and I'm a small business owner founding Bridge Technology Partners, which is located at Bell Works, providing a service of building the brightest engineering leadership teams. Having had a positive experience as a student within the district and having 2 children who are happy in Homedale schools today, I'd like to give back to our community and pay it forward by putting in the time to find solutions for us to strengthen and preserve Homedale's long-standing, strong reputation of offering high caliber schools for the children of Homedale, protecting our future. Throughout my life, I've proven to roll up my sleeves, collaborate well with others, and put in the time to get the job done successfully. I'm a passionate leader who will fight through the challenges to execute our plan. My exclusive focus will be doing what is best for Homedale students and the families who reside in this amazing township, with a primary focus on academics. I'll be a strong advocate for Homedale parents to be fully involved with the decisions being made within the schools our children attend and make sure our voices are heard. Schools are an integral part of a community, and I'll do my part to continue building a stronger Homedale community and help amplify our Hornet School spirit. Thank you, Sharon.
Thank you, Chris. Next opening statement from Jeff Mann.
Thanks, Sharon. I am Jeff Mann. I grew up in right here in Monmouth County, next door in Colts Neck. Of course, currently live here in Homedale with my lovely wife Jennifer of 20 years, and my two children, Jackson and Julia. Jackson is 10 and Julia is 7. Look, I'm looking forward to working hard for this district, and I hope to bring some innovative ideas to the table. I'm currently a regional manager with a company called Diversity, where we do all facets of facilities management. So I bring that to the table. I've been in Homedale for about 5 years, but of course, again, I've been a lifelong resident of Monmouth County. We chose to move here for the school system, like many others. And I like Chris said, I want to focus on the children, and I vow to help preserve the reputation that we have, and build from there. And like John said, I want to encourage transparency, and my true belief is if it's about you, it should include you. And I want to thank you for setting this up and having me on.
Thank you. Next opening statement from Alicia Unison. Alicia?
Hi, hello. Thank you, Sharon. Thank you, Karen, and the members of SELU. I'm Alicia Unison, and I have 2 children here in the Homedale School District, one at Village School and another at Indian Hill. I have an advanced degree in the sciences, and I have worked in the pharmaceutical industry and in youth rehabilitation counseling. My running mates, Matt Weisfeld and Joanne Lamb, and I share the common goal to support cutting-edge curriculum in STEM so that our children can succeed in the 21st century economy, and to spend our tax dollars effectively to create a superior academic experience while preventing unnecessary property tax increases. In particular, as a class parent, a member of the Indian Hill Parent Liaison Group and Village Parent Student Association, the PSA, I closely interacted with the teachers and the students, and I saw the direct impact of the BOE and the administration's policies on the schools during the pandemic and after the pandemic. Inconsistent policies, rules, and procedures which have negatively impacted our children's education, from unchecked bullying on the bus and inappropriate cell phone usage in the classrooms to underdeveloped STEAM programs and a lack of accountability. If elected, I would support policies that promote a positive school culture, proper execution of HIB procedures, that's harassment, intimidation, and bullying, and social media policies, and a more transparent and collaborative relationship among parents, teachers, and the administration so our children can learn and thrive in a peaceful school environment. Thank you.
Thank you. And I apologize. I think I need some lessons in alphabetizing. Joanne Lamb, I missed you. It is your turn. Sorry about that.
Thank you, Sharon. Thank you, everyone, for hosting this forum. Hi, I'm Joanne Lamb, a mom of 2 kids in Indian Hill and a financial advisor. 6 years ago, my husband, John, and I moved our family to Homedale for its great schools, like so many others. I was the first in my family to attend college, and I have a bachelor's of science in accounting from Fordham University. I believe that a quality education was a driving factor in my professional success in corporate tax and financial planning and advisory roles at global financial institutions. I'm running for the Board of Ed along with Alicia Unison and Matt Weisfeld because we want to pay it forward to give Homedale kids every opportunity to live out their dreams. As a former high school and college athlete, I know just how demanding, but also how rewarding it is to balance academics and sports. Excelling in both requires focus, and it taught me commitment, time management, teamwork, and prioritization. We know that our children will inherit a digital world that is progressing at an accelerated rate. It is critical that we renew our focus on a top-rated academic program with more attention on STEM and advanced courses. Alicia Unison and Matt Weisfeld and I, we are running together because we share a common vision. Our platform is to emphasize a superior academic experience balanced with sports and enrichment programs. We also need to understand how our tax dollars are being spent to help determine where we may need to adjust spending to give our kids the best education. Finally, we believe that we need to foster a positive school environment and a safe environment that is necessary for our kids to learn and succeed. Thank you.
Thank you. And next is Elizabeth Urbanski. I believe Elizabeth is our only incumbent on this panel.
Yes, I am. Thank you. Hello, I'm Elizabeth Urbanski, and I'm running for re-election to the Homedale School Board. Since being sworn in 2020, I've had the honor of serving as the head of curriculum and instruction and currently serve as the school board president. I've been a very active and committed member of the board and have worked to support the many positive changes in the school. These include a newly appointed full-time superintendent, a focus on improving rankings, consistency and quality of education, completion of a $40 million referendum, a fiscally responsible flat budget, and a successful navigation through the pandemic with strong emphasis on keeping the schools open for the students. I will continue to support initiatives such as focusing on data-driven decision-making in the evaluation of student performance and many other initiatives such as the ongoing reorganization of the guidance department and the audit of special services. If re-elected, I will continue to work to elevate all aspects of the educational experience for students and families. I'm a strong advocate for citizens, parents, and children, and remain focused on them. I am focused on student success. At this critical juncture in our districts, experience matters. I want to focus on furthering student educational excellence and supporting emotional health. As a board member, our role is to support the school district through policy and budgeting to create the best outcomes possible for our children, and I will continue to do just that. Thank you.
Thank you. And next, Matthew Weisfeld.
I guess I'm up. Good evening,
You're up.
everyone. I'm Weisfeld, and I just love Homedale. I grew up here. This is the place my parents chose to move to, and I love my education here so much. I came back, and I was a Homedale teacher for 5 years. So, and then after that, it wasn't enough. I figured, let me bring my family here and raise them here, because realistically, there's no other place to raise a child. I mean, I love it, the community, the education, and everything. From my experience, I've got over 20 years of martial arts experience in the classroom as far as being an educator. And that's when I was a high school student in Homedale. So I've got 5 years of being a technology teacher at the Homedale High School, as well as teaching at Monmouth University for 4 years and 3 years at Brookdale Community College. I have 4 Homedale Board of Ed approved curriculums as far as creating the animation and gaming class. I've placed over 100 students into interns and job opportunities in general, one of whom now works for DreamWorks. And I was nominated as Teacher of the Year by the Homedale Journal. After leaving Homedale, I went on to furthering my family business and making it a global entity, and has been featured in the Rob Report, Discovery Channel, twice on Bloomberg, and recently Billions. So I'm pretty excited to go see Mike Prince again. And just in general, I want to further the amazing education Homedale has and do my best to just make an amazing place for my family and everyone's. Thank you.
Thank you, Matthew. And the last W, Deborah Wilson.
Hi, thank you, Sharon. And I just want to thank Sela for the opportunity and thank everybody here for the opportunity to introduce myself. My name is Deborah Wilson. I've lived in Homedale for 14 years. I have 2 children that have attended Homedale School since kindergarten. And now currently my son Max is a 7th grader at SAPS and Nate is a 6th grader at Indian Hill, I think with Chris's son. I've been teaching in Freehold Township for 18 years now, and I have my bachelor's in education and my master's in education administration and supervision, but I've never had the urge to leave the classroom because I love education and serving students. In my role in Freehold Township, I've taught kindergarten through 5th grade as a classroom teacher and interventionist, but I've also served my professional community in many different ways. On the school safety team, I have been dedicated to the mental health of students and creating a school culture of tolerance and acceptance and respect. I've also served on the intervention and referral services to develop plans to support academic, behavioral, and health-related needs. I've helped write curriculum and served on the school improvement panel and the data team. So I've kind of spent the last 18 years supporting the community in which I work, and I really want to bring that experience and that perspective to Homedale Township so that I can support all the students here in my hometown.
Thank you. Thank you, Deborah. Okay, we're ready for the first question, and you have 1 minute for all of you to answer. You can always pass if you choose to do that, just to remind you that. And as I said, I'm going to skip around. I'm going to start with Joanne Lamb. Here's the question. Explain your campaign slogan and how this translates into action once you're in office? If you do not have a slogan, what would yours be and why? And Joanne.
Thank you, Sharon. Our campaign platform is education first. We know just how important sports are to students' personal growth, but we know that on average, the number of high school athletes that play in NCAA Division I is less than 2%, and the percentage of kids that play in college is less than 8%. We believe that the number one priority for our schools is to prepare our kids for their future through an outstanding education. Therefore, we believe a cutting-edge STEM curriculum should be the priority in getting our students ready for a 21st century economy. We are a team that achieved professional success through education, and we will apply our real-world experience to help set policies to achieve goals that will take Homedale schools to greater heights, balancing a superior academic experience with sports and other enrichment programs. For me, education first is not just a catchy slogan. My parents literally came to the United States with the belief that a great education was the key that opened doors to your dreams. Education has given me the foundation to achieve the American dream. Like many of you, I believe that our children deserve the best education in preparing them for their future.
Thank you, Joanne. Your time is up. Thank you. Your minute. We're going to move on to Jeff Mann. Jeff, you're muted. I've asked everybody to stay unmuted, so you don't have to. I don't have to keep saying that. But go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah.
Same question.
Thanks, Sharon. So our bracket slogan, save Homedale schools. This becomes actionable, and I'll give you a particular example. There's a current initiative to push an ideology on our children, seemingly intent on taking away freedoms, and freedoms we as parents, being stakeholders in our child's education, should be decided. I personally don't like the idea of someone else deciding how to convey sensitive information to my child outside of anything pertaining to age-appropriate biology or general education. So in this instance, Save Homedale Schools is to save them from the overreaching current political agenda, in my opinion, whereby ensuring the opt-in that we currently have in place stays in place as a viable option for our families.
Okay, thank you. Next one, Elizabeth.
If I had a slogan, it would be experience matters. While serving on the school board, I have been an engaged and committed member of the board, and I understand what needs to be done to move the district forward. I advocate strongly for a broad range of issues. For example, we now require teachers to have lesson plans to which they are accountable. I've supported the school district paying for AP exams, which will have a direct impact on improving rankings, student success, and educational equity. I've supported our expanded pre-K classes. I've strongly supported the 2 consecutive years of summer school skills and enrichment programs, which help children fill in identified learning gaps. I've supported the math labs and enrichment tutoring in the high school to fill in the learning gaps for students in the older grades. I support using common assessments to allow for targeted interventions to deal with students' learning loss due to the pandemic. One thing I've learned from my 3 years on the board is that the issues facing the school district are nuanced, and successfully delivering positive outcomes for our children requires work. To achieve this, you need a candidate with experience, and my experience matters.
Thank you. Alicia, same question.
I'm going to back up my co-running mate, Joanne Lamb, and say that we support education first. We don't have all the answers, but we are well positioned to listen and to fight for putting education first in the Homedale school system. Thank you.
Thank you. Matthew?
Hey, it really comes down to, and echoing what my fellow running mates were saying as far as putting education first. I also want to go deeper into the idea of when I was actually a teacher at Homedale, we had a functional robotics team that had over 30 students, and we won 2 awards. Since then, that same program is down to 1 student. And I know we can do better than that. We have an amazing education program. I want to get past the distractions. I want to get past the things we have no control over and focus on putting those programs in educational standings that could create a better community for our children and also increase our student ranking. Realistically, I want my daughter to have the same opportunities I had and be able to just focus on getting excited about math, excited about science, wanting to go explore new worlds and books and education in the library, and being able to have anti-bullying opportunities so that they don't have to be concerned with the mental health issues that are out there, which my other fellow candidate running mates, we can elaborate more on. Thank you.
Thank you. And Deborah, if you had a slogan, what would it be?
The word I would like to highlight in what my slogan is advocacy. So I view the opportunity to join the Board of Education as an opportunity to advocate for all students. I know the experiences that I've had in Homedale Township and with the Homedale schools, and I know the improvements that I hold dear and that I would like to see, but I also want to advocate for all students in Homedale. This position to me is not about politics or agendas, but rather a dedication to all of our children, their education, their safety, their emotional well-being. So if elected, this advocacy would be evident in my commitment to hear and respect all stakeholders and their perspectives. And the decisions that I would make as a board member would always just go back to what is best for our children.
Thank you. And John Buckley, you're up.
Thanks. I'm running alongside Chris Damari and Jeff Mann under the slogan Save Homedale Schools. And to me, that's really just a reference to a focus on traditional values. That's to say prioritizing academics, opposing the new state mandated sex ed curriculum, protecting parental rights and ensuring their role in the education of our children, ensuring curriculum transparency in all facets of the curriculum, not just the newly concerning sex ed mandate, and also ensuring accountability for all stakeholders. And that's to say, students, teachers, and parents as well as the administration. Homedale is traditionally a very highly performing academic environment, regardless of the metric. And, we shouldn't have to be chasing the so-called quote unquote soup du jour promoted by a particular politician or a certain segment of society. We should just be focused on prioritizing academics like we've done the last 50 years and made these schools great.
Thank you. And finally, Chris.
Save Homedale Schools to me is a passion, a work ethic, my love for Homedale. Being a father with 2 young children in the prime of their childhood, now is my time to step up and be a part of moving our community forward in the right direction. We need to keep our eyes on the horizon and be vigilant in this fast evolving world. We live in a state where politics is putting a lot of pressure on local districts. I'll make sure we do what is best for Homedale and for all of our children, moving in the direction our community agrees is right for us. We'll focus on strengthening and preserving the positive educational experiences Homedale has offered students and improving the areas we could be better, taking us from good to great by prioritizing academics, focusing on preparing students for their future. If it's college readiness, starting their career, or building a business. Focus on students' well-being, emotionally and socially, restoring positive school culture, promote respect, protect parental rights by ensuring their role in the education of their children, and taking the most conservative approach to the updated sex standards. We respect family values and individual freedoms. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next question, and we will start with Alicia. And the question is about budget. There is a sense in town that the competitive edge of our schools is waning. How can the district better utilize its budget, which are from tax dollars, to meet students' needs and keep Homedale schools competitive? Alicia?
Thank you, Sharon. So we agree with that sentiment. Last year, a Homedale resident, Deepak Kumar, did an analysis that shows that we spend more money per student, but we are still ranked lower than a lot of other public high schools. There was a time when Homedale School District not only ranked academically among the best in the state of New Jersey, but did so while spending less per student than the state average. Over 68% of our total property tax dollars go to our schools. As a working parent and a taxpayer, we want to make sure that our tax dollars are being spent efficiently with our children's academics as the top priority. For example, by reallocating existing funds to meet this goal without raising taxes. Thank you.
Thank you. Joanne Lamb?
Thank you, Sharon. Many of our kids are involved in youth sports, and we know that sports are fundamental to students' personal growth. While sports and extracurricular activities are important for well-rounded education, As our global economy becomes more digital, it is imperative that we renew our focus on a stronger academic program with more attention on an expanded STEM curriculum and enrichment programs that will prepare all students for the 21st century economy. With a budget of over $60 million, if managed responsibly, we should not have to choose between academics and sports. We can do both while bringing our school rankings back to the top. Thank you.
Thank you. John Buckley.
Yeah, I think if you examine the current school budget, the thing that jumps out to me is that, you know, the two top line items that are the highest spend are, number one, the salaries and the benefits. You know, I think those dollars are being appropriately spent. I think if you want to, you know, mold the most impressive minds, you have to hire and attract the most impressive and best in class of teacher. I think the reality is that beyond those two really so-called fixed costs, there's not that much discretionary funds remaining. I think that we need to be vigilant and opportunistic in the way that we spend those discretionary funds and focus on items that were, you know, mentioned previously, like STEM, you know, to remain competitive with other public schools.
Thank you. Elizabeth?
The budget is, of course, critical, and money that we spend on taxpayers' behalf should be spent wisely. The recently completed referendum allowed major improvements to be made by creating facilities such as the robotics lab, the engineering lab, the television studio in the high school, and the new science labs at SATS. These all represent money well spent to promote student success and retain top performers within the high school, which helps with rankings. While heading curriculum and instruction, I advocated for increasing the number of AP classes and paying for them. This is both equitable and is an important factor in increasing rankings also. Currently, the board is in the process of launching a 5-year strategic plan that I personally advocated for. This plan will provide feedback from all community stakeholders, and I will make sure we act on that to enhance the students' educational experience in the next 5 years. There are many fiscal issues that the board will have to be aware of over the next 3 years, and I'm the candidate with the direct experience to deal with it. Thank you.
Thank you. Chris, same question.
I disagree with the narrative, as I feel Homedale schools are competitive. When I graduated Homedale High in '96, Homedale was at its peak rankings. So I can understand the perspective of asking why our rankings are much lower now compared to then. Although this does not mean we do not have a very good school district that is competitive. It certainly hasn't stopped young families from moving here. We can always find ways to improve, and we could take Homedale from good to great. As Elizabeth said, the rankings will be on the rise after a strategy was implemented to incentivize Homedale students to take and complete the AP tests. And some other factors have affected the rankings, such as not being able to retain all students entering the high school. And the administration is currently taking steps to do a better job at this. There are certain external factors we cannot control. After seeing the district's budget presentation, I'm more concerned that the two budget challenges for Homedale is expanding social and emotional learning and mental health supports and addressing learning loss. This is concerning, being these are two critical issues we are facing today. We'll need to get creative to find solutions and squeeze out whatever we can, make sure all children are managing the transition well and no student gets left behind. And there's solutions out there that do not have to cost that much. So let's go out and find them. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Matthew.
Yes. So I feel one of the big things with the budget is high tech, Allied, and all these other schools. Now, they don't go in there automatically just knowing all these things. They went through the Homedale school system. They were bred in the village school, Indian Hill, SAT school. And what we need to do is keep them. And by keeping them through more programs, through STEM, with improvements with the robotics, it's great to hear about the lab that they have and all the things that are happening. By keeping these, then just by having them, our ranking, of course, will increase by having those numbers. Because right now, we've got these students that Homedale is breeding, and then high tech's getting the numbers, Allied's getting the numbers. We want to get those numbers and keep it. Higher ranking, higher property value. Higher property value, even those who don't have kids in the school. Oh, hey, look at how valuable my house is. Everyone's happy, whether they have a student in school or not. Thank you.
Okay, same question. Jeff Mann.
Thank you. I think the comment of that Homedale's lost its competitive edge is a bit of perception. You know, we're still in the top 20% of our state. We have a 96 and change percent college kids in high school go on to college. Excuse me. You know, we have an 11-to-1 student teacher ratio. We're not doing bad, but we can do better. And I feel that we should pick up any shortcomings an academic gap from the pandemic, if there is any, pending the outcome of this year's Start Strong assessment that was recently taken by the children. And I think this will be a good gauge of any academic gap or learning loss from the pandemic. And there's actually money, talk about the budget, there's money allocated from the state, $2.7 billion from the state to schools for learning loss, for academic gaps. So, I feel it's important to address this with innovative new approaches, like accessible networks of tutors. That's certainly valuable, as well as
Finish your
online,
sentence.
as well as online review courses for the summer. Also
Okay.
varying degrees of focused
Thank
learning.
you.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Deborah, last but not least.
Thank you. I think whenever we make decisions about curriculum or programming or new initiatives that, will affect our budget, they need to be grounded in data. And I think we do need to continue to fund the strengths of our district, like the innovative STEM that we are doing. But we also need to examine some of the weaknesses and allocate money that will address those weaknesses. And while in some cases that might mean some curriculum adjustments, it could also mean doing what we're exactly doing now, but a little bit better or different. So just quick example, the program for extra help at SATS is amazing. And I think it's underutilized. Is there a way to re-envision that those half-hour blocks after school that our teachers are so dedicated to helping our children achieve, so that we can, capitalize on things like that to help increase achievement? Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next question. And we're going to start with Mr. Buckley, John Buckley. Here's the question. Per the superintendent, the district has worked to incorporate the New Jersey State Health Curriculum Standards as opt-in options for parents, while keeping the old standards as opt-out, as they have always been. The curriculum is slated to be approved at the end of October. If elected, would you support the new curriculum?
I unequivocally do not support the newly mandated sex ed curriculum, and I know many parents in Homedale are concerned about it the same way I am. A lot of them feel that it's almost experimentation on our students. There appears to be very well-intentioned plans to implement parental controls to mitigate, information being shared with students. But to my knowledge, there's no guarantee that the state is going to approve, that concept of opt-in. I encourage the Board of Ed when examining this curriculum and voting on it at the end of the month to keep that, concern about optionality in mind. And, it's again, just unequivocal, no support of this new mandate.
Thank you. Chris, same question.
I support the opt-in policy, which we need to protect. However, overall, do not support all the material in this curriculum. I understand that we do need to find a balance between what Homedale feels is best and what our state is demanding. I have a conservative view when it comes to bringing some of this material into our schools. I am open-minded and respects all individuals, although need to stand up for my values and children. Some of these topics consist of mature subject matter that's either inappropriate at these ages or many Homedale families view not appropriate for public school at any level. I would seek additional options to consider, such as creating an at-home policy for parents to be given the material to be the educators, if interested, for the most controversial material. I do not believe teachers and staff are prepared for many of these conversations or comfortable in teaching them to young children. And I see a risk, a high-level risk in creating negative experiences and confusion for our children, especially coming back after 2 years of dysfunction. We do need to define the true pulse of our community and listen to the parents, especially with the children that are in the grades affected by always making the best decisions for Homedale.
Thank you. Deborah Wilson.
Thank you. I will support the new health curriculum. I do. I think the districts opt in for the new standards, and the opt out for the previous standards does allow parents to make the best decision for their children and for their families. That being said, I do think that the administration, in conjunction with the board, needs to closely monitor the implementation of this curriculum. especially with the mature topics, making sure that they're taught in an age-appropriate way. Resources are reviewed and vetted, and feedback needs to be sought from the community to adjust and make changes.
Thank you. Matthew?
Yes. First, I have to admit, I feel like the whole thing has been a gigantic distraction for all of us because we're all being asked to our opinion on something we're not going to be voting on, that we are not going to have any ability to, and the existing board has to make that decision on. Now, that being said, if elected, and that does fall to me, then I'm not a fan of it in village school. I don't think it has any right being there. That being said, I do believe in the opt-in policy, and I do believe that there is the conversation that should be had. But if things do get out of hand, I am prepared, and I believe we are all prepared to do whatever is necessary to support and defend our children. I've got a 4-year-old daughter. I don't want her getting mixed up in things, and or rather, going back to, I want her to explore castles and dragons and math and science. And if things get to that point, I'm ready to defend her. Thank you.
Thank you. Elizabeth?
Since learning about it, I have strongly encouraged full transparency regarding the new health curriculum. The district has hosted 2 parent meetings and created the opt-in for the new material, thereby handing the choice back to the parents. The Director of Curriculum and Instruction has worked very closely with the curriculum writers. Dr. Irwin advised the Curriculum and Instruction Committee that controversial material is being moved to the oldest age band. For example, if a topic can be covered between a range of grades, the material will be addressed in the oldest grade. I specifically asked Dr. Irwin how much class time the new material would take, and she informed me that it would be 1 class period that will be taught in the spring. While it's not the board's purview to oversee the day-to-day operations of the school, I support the parents' right to opt into or out or not into the new material. Thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Next, Jeff Mann.
Yeah, thank you. I do not support the new sex ed mandates. I can't get behind a program where we're teaching children about gender identity and potential 7th graders about a very obscure, mature subject matter. To me, these topics are for parents to discuss. If they see fit. I certainly support the opt-in option as it is our only recourse at this point. My personal goal is to make sure that this option remains open for families going forward. I certainly support teaching age-appropriate biology to children. However, I don't support the new sex ed mandate.
Thank you. Joanne?
Thanks,
Ms.
Sharon.
Lamb?
Thank you. Following the October 3rd informational session, we issued a statement that fully supports the plan as explained by Dr. Cascone. You can see the full statement on our Homedale Education First Facebook page. There are 2 parts to the curriculum. The first is the traditional health sex ed education that has been taught for many years, from which parents can opt out. That hasn't changed. The second is the new health standard that includes some controversial topics. And Dr. Cascone's plan is for parents to be able to opt into this curriculum if they so choose. We fully support parents having a real choice, and that this decision should not be made for them, not by the Board of Ed, not by the state or anyone else, because no one knows your child better than you, the parents. Of course, things could change in the future, but our position is that we would support empowering parents whenever possible. I was brought up in a conservative upbringing, and like most parents here in Homedale, we are concerned about this curriculum, but we fully support empowering parents. Thank you.
Thank you. And Alicia, same question.
I appreciate hearing everyone's view here on the panel. I must support my running mate, Joanne Lamb and Matt Weisfeld. Like most parents here in Homedale, we were concerned about this new sex education curriculum. We waited to issue a statement to incorporate any additional guidance from the October 3rd workshop so that the Homedale Education First team could take a well-informed position, including the latest updates. We want our message to be based on the facts and not by raising fear or panic. We hope this puts to bed what has become a big distraction from the real issues around improving education in our schools. We back the opt-in policy. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're moving on to the next question, and we will start with Jeff Mann. The question is about turnover. How can we halt the revolving door of teachers, principals, and superintendents that Homedale has experienced over the past few years? What can we do to attract and retain the best candidates for these positions?
Muted.
Jeff, you're muted. Jeff?
Sorry, I was clearing my throat.
Okay,
Sorry.
start the time again.
Apologize. I think timing is a factor here. And we'll see some settling down now, at least with the superintendent and internal movement of the principals. With more retirees and less individuals wanting to in fact be teachers is the main challenge. I guess the real question is why don't people want to do this job, at least not to the extent that they used to? To me, the job has more pressure attached to it, and people aren't feeling supported. So I think surveying, polling the teachers is a good way to wrap our head around what they're dealing with and truly feeling, and begin to help create an environment that's attractive to both teachers and conducive to learning.
Thank you. Deborah Wilson.
Yes. So I agree. Actually, I think that the first step in halting the revolving door that we've seen is to determine why there's such a high turnover. And we need to connect with administration and with teachers to ask some questions about how do they feel supported and what do they need? Resources, professional development. And I've seen the same trends that I think other people have seen in Homedale, of the same faces, but new positions. And, we need to stop the shakeups of our valued educators so that they can, become very good at their jobs. And people talk a lot about salaries and money, and yes, it attracts people, but speaking from personal experience in education, it's really the relationships you develop and the value you feel in your community. And that's the reason that you stay. So having stability within their buildings for administrators and teachers will help build these relationships that will ultimately answer our questions about why they're leaving and stop the revolving door.
Thank you. Next, Matthew.
I believe that one of the first issues is having confidence in your position. I think it was unfair for teachers to go so long without a contract and not having something ratified. I know as a former teacher, things were certainly stressful anytime there were situations for it, whether good or bad, having an idea of where you stand in the world to begin with. Another thing that for me, while teaching at Homedale High School, that made me want to stay was all the support that I did have of being sent out to workshops, like for the creation of the computer animation and gaming class. Homedale sent me out to learn more with my fellow peers. And these are programs and things I feel like we need to get back to, of having the support with the teachers and having so they know that they're not alone and they will get the resources, whatever they may be, so that they can step up for the classroom and be able to just be a better educator for themselves and for their children. Thank you.
Thank you. John?
Yeah,
John Buckley?
I think similar to what Jeff said, I would expect the recent turnover and, so-called, musical chairs of teachers and administration to be sort of an anomaly here. We just come through a tumultuous time of an interim superintendent who I know butted heads with a lot of the faculty, and I think a lot of the faculty left as a result of that, as well as a global pandemic. And I think that just accelerated retirement, of a number of the more tenured teachers, not only in Homedale, but, on a state level as well as national. I understand that the Homedale is doing a commendable job at hiring, the best in class teachers. And, really the bottom line is that it's the responsibility of the board, as well as the administration, to create an environment that's enticing to teachers and prospective new hires, and to offer competitive salaries to continue to attract the best and the brightest.
Thank you. Next, Joanne.
Thank you, Sharon. We believe that much of the turnover was a result of inconsistent leadership, and it starts at the top, the Board of Education. We had an interim superintendent for 18 long months. So having Dr. Cascone as our superintendent is a great start. Having a labor agreement with the teachers is also a step in the right direction. Our children are taught by educators. This is where the rubber meets the road. We need to be competitive financially in our recruiting and hiring, but that alone is not enough. We agree. We also need to create an environment and a culture where teachers and administrators are valued and supported. We want to celebrate the best of our teachers, build upon their successes, and provide them with the opportunities for greater professional development. This would give us the edge in recruiting and retaining educators and the best opportunity to prepare our kids for the 21st century economy. Thank you.
Thank you. Chris, you're up.
We all need to work together in building back our positive school culture. Leadership starts at the top, and I'm encouraged thus far with the new superintendent hire. Dr. Cascone has already pointed out that one of his primary goals is creating consistencies within each of our schools, which is critical. If elected to the Board of Ed, I'm confident in building positive relationships and open lines of communications with all my peers and stakeholders involved. I'll be an advocate for creating a much needed positive synergy amongst all Board of Ed members. This positive attitude will trickle down into the schools, which will lift morale throughout. The pandemic emotionally drained us all, including teachers and staff. And we need to strengthen relationships and communication between parents, teachers, and administration to better support each other and work together in creating a brighter future for all. Thank you.
Thank you. Alicia.
Thank you, Sharon. I second what Joanne Lamb has presented, and we believe the board must set the tone that attracting and retaining the best teachers and principals should be the priority. Working with and through the superintendent, the board can help set the policy, incorporate goals and objectives around supporting teachers, especially those teachers who have successfully taught in Homedale schools for a very long time, and ensure that they have the training and tools to teach in a new digital world. Thank you.
Thank you. And finally, Elizabeth.
In January, the board appointed our new superintendent with a 4-year contract, putting turnover concerns behind us. Dr. Cascone has personally handpicked his administrative team, and his people are now in place and fully engaged. As part of my focus on educational excellence, I have supported initiatives to retain the best candidates, such as having salaries consistently above the county average, providing an increased number of professional development days for staff, creating teacher coaches to work with teachers in the classroom setting. I personally supported increased investments in training administrators and how to properly evaluate teachers and staff. I supported the decision to make our longtime principal, Art Howard, be named the new Assistant Superintendent of Academics and Operations, where he will oversee human resources, an area that definitely needs to be reformed and which is now directly under his auspices. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm going to start with Elizabeth for the last question that we have, that you all prepared so well for all the others. And this one is on bullying. This year, the district has emphasized anti-bullying programs as well as kindness, acceptance, and respect. As a Board of Ed member, what will you do to improve the school culture? Elizabeth?
Yes, bullying is an issue that needs to be addressed in the district, and that is why I supported it being one of the district goals. This year, the board approved expanding the Rutgers Mental Health Initiative, and the district now has more counselors available. It has trained administrators on HIB's procedure and now placed the new Assistant Superintendent Art Howard as the district anti-bullying coordinator. But more work needs to be done. For example, a lot of bullying now happens in social media and is less outwardly visible in the school environment as it occurs outside of school walls. I believe the district needs to educate both students and parents on digital citizenship, which is educating parents and children on how to use social media safely and responsibly. Educational workshops should be set up for parents in every school, even village, as access to social media has become more prevalent in the younger ages. I believe the counselors in the guidance department and all the schools should be proactively helping students deal with significant rise in anxiety and stress, not merely retroactively investigating bullying claims. I have been a loud and persistent advocate about my concerns with this to the administration. Thank you.
Thank you. And next, Matthew.
Well, I'm excited to say we're not waiting for an election to start doing this. I personally, through martial arts training, have been doing anti-bullying programs since before even being a teacher. And recently, my running mates and myself, Joanne Lamb and Alicia Unison, we ran an extremely successful anti-bullying workshop where we had Hazlitt's school, Atlantic Highlands, as well as many other districts that were able to join for an education for both students, parents, as well as educational administrators. At this time, the Hazlitt school system is looking to have us involved with their programs, Atlantic Highlands as well, and Middletown has now reached out to me. And well, board seat or not, we're doing it. And if elected, it'll be that much easier for Homedale to join on in. Thank you.
Thank you. Alicia?
Yes, we are glad to see that Homedale Education First platform of a positive school culture is being embraced by other BOE candidates, since this goes to the very foundation of our children's ability to learn. This year, it has seemed that education has almost become secondary to managing classroom behaviors. Education First would support policies that establish student mentors, such as a big brother, big sister type of program at Indian Hill, which would help with the transition from village school. More bus aids at the village school and more accessible HIB programs where parents would know how and when to report events. We would look at developing a sensible social media guideline for each school that are supported by parents and teachers. We would also explore in-school suspensions that would hold students accountable for their behavior, but yet keep them inside of the school environment. Finally, we would support anti-bullying programs, which may include martial arts, positive school culture, either as an after-school program or an assembly. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alicia. Next, Jeff.
Thank you. You know, my children are respectful and they're kind. They're respectful to each other. They're kind to each other. And as parents, you know, my wife and I have shown them this. I feel this all really starts at home, and it's reinforced at home. You know, kids don't learn these soft skills at school. They're simply demonstrated what they learn at home at school. So I'm a firm believer in the lessons we teach at home can potentially translate to school culture. For example, staying calm with your kids, not overreacting when you think your child is being disrespectful. You know, identifying the cause for disrespect. Focusing on teaching problem-solving alternatives, you know, modeling how to be respectful by respecting your kids, and using a different form of discipline, whereas, you know, we're using firm discipline to teach and really not to punish.
Okay, thank you. And John.
Yeah, I think, you know, Homedale has an excellent reputation. It's got an exceptional culture. You know, otherwise none of these 8 people would be here, you know, putting children through the school district. You know, I commend the school on promoting the respect and kindness and creating this unique culture. You know, as far as bullying, you know, I'm not aware that Homedale has, you know, any real exceptional bullying problem, more so than any other school district in the area. But you know, certainly any level of bullying is unacceptable. I know the school has a fairly strict HIB policy, but, you know, perhaps from some of the instances that I've learned, you know, maybe the policy needs to be enacted a little bit more in a stronger fashion, so to speak. I think Jeff hit the nail right on the head, and we've talked about accountability. I think everybody on the panel here has talked about accountability, and that happens at all levels. And, you know, really it starts at home, as Jeff said. You know, it's up to the parents to, you know, put the proper character and morals within their kids, and you know, send them out into the school district, you know, with the right mindset.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And Joanne?
Thanks, Sharon. So I echo Alicia and Matt's responses. I would add that we would possibly explore what they call looping as a potential strategy to build collaborative relationships between students. Looping keeps students in the same class year after year, not in the same grade, but with a lot of the same students, in order to build connectivity and familiarity and existing bonds that already exist among students in the classroom. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Deborah?
Yes, well, I think first and foremost, we need to educate students, staff, and the community about the law. We need the message to be clear that bullying is not tolerated, and there is a law that protects students from bullying, and it will be enforced in Homedale Township schools. And that's not limited to our classrooms. It includes the buses, it includes clubs, teams, social media. I also believe that emphasizing kindness, acceptance, and respect is important, and the district's strategic goal on the strategic plan to implement the positive behavior supports is a step in the right direction. However, I don't feel like we could just talk. I think we need to breathe some life into our school safety teams that each school has, and explicitly teach students what it looks like and what it looks like to be respectful of themselves, of others, and the environment. But the bottom line is we need a zero tolerance approach to bullying.
Thank you. And lastly, Chris.
I work hard with the administration, teachers, and parents to address bullying in our schools. We need to create a safe environment for all children so that they can be focusing on learning academics. We need to do a better job teaching our children respect and holding those accountable for wrongful actions so that they can understand how to take responsibility and learn from this. We need to find ways to increase parent engagement to help push this forward. We need to teach our children leadership and how to lead by example in their action towards peers and building healthy relationships with each other. As a student in Homedale, they had a leadership program I was a part of where seniors connected with 8th graders, prepping them for high school. We should consider doing this throughout all schools and increase student engagement between different grades, having older students pay it forward by teaching younger ones and in turn teaching themselves to be better. This will help strengthen our community. I'm encouraged as we start the new season under Dr. Cascone's leadership, how the schools are hyper-focused on school culture and promoting respect, 2 campaigns I'll help drive home. Being a part of the Homedale Hornets community since 1985, I'll certainly do my part to building a positive school culture and amplifying our school spirit. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, hearing about kindness is always a good thing. So thank you all for your responses. And we are now going to hear your closing statements. Deborah Wilson, who's always at the end of the alphabet, gets to go first.
Thank you so much. So just since moving to Homedale 14 years ago, my sons and I have had the privilege of meeting just so many amazing educators, neighbors, and friends. And walking into village school that first time, I could just, when the kids were in kindergarten, I could feel that positive energy and the enthusiasm that's just so evident in our schools. And you know, I think you can tell from tonight that we are all here on this panel together because we're committed to the students of Homedale. And we want to continue the excellent reputation that Homedale has. I believe that my experiences as an educator will bring new ideas and a new perspective to the Board of Education. I'm also committed to listening and advocating for all students and all stakeholders in Homedale. So that's about it. Thank you so much for your time tonight.
Thank you. And next is Matthew Weisfeld.
There, look at us. We finally got first after all of these years. Our last names got it. So anyway, I'm excited to be here. I mean, it's never been a doubt as being a Homedale student, you know, it was just I knew I'd have to bring my family back here. And as a former educator in the Homedale school system, I believe that gives me the experience, the understanding, and the ability to work with those on and off or whatever it might be to help further and put education first. Having the experience of written and created programs. I was really excited at the Diwali celebration the other day, and I mentioned it, and a student was there saying, "Oh, I'm in the computer animation and gaming class." Like, "Oh, yeah, I made that class." And the kid lit up. I just threw it out there, and that made my night. The whole celebration was amazing, but just having that experience and just doing that. And I want to further that with the anti-bullying aspects, with being able to support the robotics team and whatever extracurricular activities to just make a better situation and environment for the students. And just with my experience of teaching also in the college level as well. And what I really want to do is help students connect to real jobs, real opportunities, which I've fortunately already had the opportunity to, and currently still am. My company actually works with the Colliard School, and I hope to do the same thing with Homedale as well, of providing those opportunities. Thank you.
Thank you, Matthew. Next is Elizabeth.
If reelected, I will continue to work to elevate all aspects of the educational experience for students and families. I'm an advocate for citizens, parents, and children, and remain focused on them and the Homedale School District. I firmly believe the Board of Education should be focused on student success. The board and the district are currently launching a 5-year strategic plan, a district board goal, which I personally sponsored. At this important juncture in our district, focusing on overcoming learning loss, emotional health of students, and academic excellence in education is when experience matters, and I'm the only candidate who can bring this to the table. I grew up in Homedale, and our children are 4th-generation Homedalians. All of our 3 children have attended Homedale schools, and I have personal experience as a parent of every school from village to high school. We reside on our organic family's tree farm in Homedale, which is where I grew up and where I'm raising our children. Sorry, I lost my thing. I understand the unique history of Homedale Township and the Homedale school system, which combines both academic excellence and engaged and educated parents within a pastoral environment. I'm asking for your vote for re-election to the Homedale School Board so I can continue working to help students achieve and move the district forward. We've gone through a lot in the last 3 years, and I have helped move this school successfully forward. If you want to continue this positive momentum of this reform agenda, which has been my sole motivation for seeking a leadership position on the board, please vote for me. Thank you.
Thank you. And next we hear from Alicia.
Thank you. Homedale schools have a good reputation. That's why so many families move here. But just over 20 years ago, Homedale had an even better reputation, ranking in the top 10 best schools in New Jersey. Education First platform is to bring Homedale schools back to the top and allow our children to be best prepared for their future. If elected, I would support policies that promote a positive school culture, proper execution of HIB procedures, sensible electronic device and social media policies, and a more transparent and collaborative relationship among parents, teachers, and the administration so that our children can learn and thrive in a peaceful school environment. Our real-world experience in education, business, accounting, and mental health makes us uniquely qualified to make the Board of Education better for our children. My running mates, Matt Weisfeld and Joanne Lamb, and I believe that politics have no place on the BOE, and we don't believe in using Homedale Board of Education as a springboard for higher political office. Our goal is to provide a world-class education in a positive, supportive environment for all of our children. I ask whoever makes it on the board to think upward and outward so that our children can become successful parts of the global community. Thank you so much for tonight.
Thank you. Jeff Mann.
Thank you. Yeah. So Deborah, it was well said. We're here for, for one reason, for our kids. And I think collectively we can make some strides to foster better communication with parents, bring in some more logic, which is always necessary, especially in this climate. And, and last but not least, really the overall well-being and mental health of our children. I want to reiterate, I'm prepared to work hard for this district, and I certainly promise to do my best for our kids. And in closing, I truly appreciate your time and thank you again for having me. Please vote for Damari, Mann, and Buckley this November. Thank you.
Thank you. Joanne, closing statement.
Sharon. As mentioned, our platform is to, 1, emphasize a superior academic experience balanced with sports and enrichment programs. 2, effectively spend our tax dollars to prevent any unnecessary property tax increase. And 3, promote a positive school culture in which our kids can thrive. Our combined real-world experience in education, business, financial planning, accounting, and mental health makes us uniquely qualified as a team to make the Board of Education better for our children. If elected, I would employ my accounting background, financial experience, and understanding of complex financial statements and multi-million-dollar budgets to confirm that our vendors are cost-effective, that every expenditure is justified and more transparent to taxpayers, and where necessary, reallocate existing funds to meet our goals without raising taxes. As a working mom and taxpayer, I want to ensure that our tax dollars are being spent efficiently with our children's academics as the top priority. Matt, Alicia, and I believe that politics have no place in our common goal of bringing Homedale schools back to the top. Since we have no interest in leveraging the Homedale Board of Education to jumpstart a political career, Our decisions will be based solely on improving Homedale's already robust academic program. Our goal is to provide all Homedale kids with an exceptional education in a safe and healthy environment. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you, Joanne. Chris, and I'll just mention that your name on the ballot will be Christian, as it says on on your screen, right?
I'll have to double check that. I don't know. I don't have it in front of me.
Okay, well, we asked, okay, go ahead.
The last
You're
name will be.
1.5 minutes.
I'm here today looking for the opportunity to work hard for Homedale students and Homedale families. I have a passion for education. I proved this in my life by putting in the time while being fully employed to take night classes at Stevens to complete my vision of obtaining a master's degree. Homedale schools help prepare me to meet many life goals. It is important to me that my children and all Homedale children are provided a positive educational experience in our schools, and that we are doing the best job possible in preparing Homedale students for a successful future. I'll work well with the other Board of Ed members, the administration staff, and all stakeholders. I have a deep love and passion for Homedale, and I'll be committed to listen, learn, and lead. Thank you to the host for providing us a platform to introduce ourselves, to the candidates for putting in their time and making us all better, and to everybody watching. Thank you for your consideration and support. Please consider voting for Damari, Mann, and Buckley. Thank you.
Thank you. And lastly, Mr. Buckley.
Thank you. I really meant what I said earlier in my comments that, this position on the Board of Ed is without a doubt the most important in the township. Homedale schools are something that are, very near and dear to my heart, obviously, a graduate and a product of learning there. I really feel that the schools were a springboard for me, both my personal life as well as my career. If elected to the Board of Ed, I promise to prioritize athletics, academics, be a champion of parental rights and transparency in all facets of the curriculum. I want to thank you for your time and for arranging this forum. I also want to thank my wife for allowing me the time to campaign. I know it's not hard for me to be away, and her to take care of both the kids. So appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank each of you for the time you put into preparing for this. Thanking the candidates certainly for wanting to serve your community. Want to also thank the audience for caring enough to tune in, and especially to the SELU team for putting this forum together, and certainly for inviting the League of Women Voters to moderate this. This forum is being live streamed, and it will be posted on the SELU YouTube channel. And if you want information on all the candidates on each of your ballots when you go to vote, you can go online to our award-winning nonpartisan league website, vote411.org. Get educated, and remember, speak up through your vote. Everyone needs to vote. And I am now turning this evening back to the SELU group to introduce two, I believe, of your township committee candidates. And I'll just say that by League of Women Voters' strict nonpartisan policy, a league moderator cannot take part in a forum, and I quote, "If only the candidates of one party accept the invitation, there can be no debate." And so I have to say thank you and good night. This is where I sign off and turn this back over to Karen.
Thank you very much. Thanks to all the candidates. One thing I was remiss in doing before we started was our Homedale community lost a very important person in the past few weeks, Mike Sockel, who was on the Board of Education for 12 years. He was very active in promoting lots of different initiatives, and was active in the theater, in the Duncan Smith Theater. He was a playwright. He suffered from cancer during the last 3 years. He showed us how a brave person attacks a disease. And so I just think that we would just take 10 seconds and just have 10 seconds of silence for Mike Sockel, and hope his time of the beyond is good. Thank you, guys. Thanks again to the Board of Education, all you guys. I didn't know who I was going to vote for before, and I really don't know who I'm going to vote for now. You all were wonderful. You were so well prepared, and thank you very, very much. And Sharon, thank you for bringing the expertise and status of the League of Women Voters to our event. What we're going to do now is we will move all the candidates to attendees. RG and Randy, if you would help do that, and Regina. Move the candidates to attendees, and we will bring the two the two Township Committee candidates here. So stick with us and learn what the Township Committee candidates have to say about their positions. And thank you again,
Karen.
all
Good
you
night.
Board of Education. Good night. I am looking for there she is, to elevate. Oh, no, shoot. I keep on. All right, as we're moving people on, now we need to elevate. Thank you guys very much. Now we need to elevate Dr. Mohan and Julie Ross. So if you could find them and elevate them.
What I just did.
And Randy, you'll continue as a timekeeper. Okay. Need to bring Julie Roth. So we have two Township Committee candidates to the independents running for Township. We're looking for them on this list of people. Here comes Julie, and Dr. Mohan should be coming soon. Here she is. Very good. And Dr. Mohan, here he is, Rajesh. Okay, so we're ready for the next part. I hope everyone will stick around and hear from our two candidates who are running for Homedale Township Committee. Regina Criscione, the co-president, is going to be asking the questions as the co-president. RG Malonis is staying on as backup IT, and Randy will continue as timekeeper. So I will turn the program over to Regina.
Thank you, Karen. Okay, candidates, welcome. You will have 1.5 minutes each for your opening and closing statements, and 1 minute to answer each question. We will begin the opening remarks in alphabetical order. We will then rotate who answers first with each question, and the closing remarks will be in reverse alphabetical order. So we will start with the opening statements. Dr. Mohan, you will go first. You have 1.5 minutes.
I want to thank the board members of SELU and the League of Women Voters for this opportunity to speak directly to the residents of Homedale. My name is Rajesh Mohan, and I'm a practicing cardiologist. I'm running as an independent candidate with my running mate, Ms. Julie Roth, for the Homedale Township Committee. We humbly seek your vote to help us serve all Homedale residents. I'm indebted to my wife, Nandini, Homedale, and Homedale High School for the fantastic upbringing of my two sons who graduated from Homedale High School. It is the teachings of my parents, Janak and Arima, that have made me the person that I am. The motto of my high school was service before self. Coming from a family of lawyers and engineers, consciously or subconsciously, I organically pursued the field of medicine. I believe the path I took was mainly due to the empathy and a hunger to serve and the will to make things better for everyone, which I imbibed during my formative years. I've been taught to be strong, resilient, and speak up in the defense of right and fight against wrong. I've been taught by my parents to never take anything for granted, always work hard, and leave nothing to chance. Taking on additional responsibilities in leadership, teaching, and administrative roles, I saw firsthand how profound the consequences of policymaking and their implementation can be on people's lives on a day-to-day basis. And if such policies are not made keeping the interests of people or not implemented properly, there are adverse consequences on the lives of people. That is why I'm seeking public office. Thank you.
Thank you. And Ms. Roth.
Thank you. Thank you to Karen, Regina, and the SELU board for hosting this program. And thank you to those who are taking the time to listen and make informed choices this November. My name is Julie Roth, and I'm running for Township Committee to help fulfill the need for an independent voice in the making of informed decisions that will protect and preserve our quality of life here in Homedale. I have extensive experience in managing large budgets and operations for both an LLC with an international presence and Rutgers University, where I served as founding director of a revenue generating division. In my professional career, I oversaw all business, operational, and personnel aspects of both the division and the LLC. I've been married to my husband, Gregory, for over 15 years, and we have 3 children in Homedale schools. So look, there are no sides when it comes to community safety, investing in our infrastructure, and protecting our open spaces. These are things that all residents, including our opponents, value. So I humbly ask you to ask yourselves, which candidates are the most competent, and which candidates can we entrust with the making of independent, informed decisions that will impact our community? My background shows that I have an ability to lead with humility, kindness, and respect. And look, I'm not under the thumb of any political party or special interest groups. I have no agenda or grand political aspirations other than to serve the residents of Homedale, all residents. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, for the first question, it's about priorities. So Ms. Roth, you will start. If elected, what would be your highest priority for changing an existing practice or policy, and how would you accomplish this?
Okay, so the unethical pay-to-play practices at Town Hall need to cease immediately. Just because something is legal, that doesn't mean it's ethical. So if we're having to ask ourselves, can we do this? Is it legal? That's just a bad starting point right there. Developers and professionals that help fund the campaign of county and township officials have received plum appointments in the past. So there's currently a township ordinance that requires all COA developers to disclose donations on both the county and the township level. I think we need to expand this. We need to expand it to include the full spectrum of businesses, individuals, owners of those businesses, and professionals that the town engages, because defending unethical activities as legal sets a very low bar and it leads to rampant corruption.
Thank you. And Dr. Mohan.
So accountability and transparency will be my highest priority as opposed to what is going on in Town Hall currently. Most Homedale residents are concerned that despite spending their hard-earned tax dollars, we still have areas of Homedale that get flooded. The frequency of power outages has increased, and stormwater management continues to be a pernicious problem. Car thefts have increased, home break-ins are happening. The security of our communities and our children is at stake. It is disgusting that a relatively affluent town like Homedale continues to have basic issues that are not only persistent, but are worsening instead of improving. All such problems negatively impact all Homedale residents and their quality of life. Solutions to addressing these problems lie in formulating and following open, transparent processes that include shining light on transactions, big and small. Such processes compel and promote honesty, prevent cronyism, while holding leaders accountable as they serve their constituents. That is what I will do.
Thank you. And Dr. Mohan, you get the next question, since there are only 2 of you. It's about the master plan. How can the Township Committee honor Homedale Township's master plan for land development while meeting the needs of our growing population? What parts of the master plan should be a priority?
There is a saying, if you build it, they will come. If you don't, there won't be any growing population of any significance. In fact, from 2010 to 2018, there was a decrease in population in Homedale by about 1.1%. It did grow some after that, likely due to COVID-related migration from New York or other places. So we have to figure out what is sustainable and if we really have the need to entice people to move into Homedale. Other than the affordable housing mandate, there is no other compulsion to keep construction workers busy in Homedale other than improving our services for current residents. Our first priority must be to take care and improve the health and well-being of the current residents. If we cannot provide adequate basic services to our current residents that I mentioned in the earlier question, then what gives us the right or confidence that we can turn Homedale into a construction zone and build further in a responsible manner? Inappropriate construction, I won't call it development, because it is not, would negatively impact the current residents, the value of their homes, and their quality of life. Going forward, all such development projects must be transparent and scrutinized for necessity. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Roth.
Okay, so the original intent behind the master plan was that it served as a guiding document. And I believe we can honor it by allowing it to fulfill that purpose in making land use decisions. So I would consult the master plan for all decisions that are outlined in the plan. However, land use is the first element in the document, and it must be a priority as it has implications for all of the other elements. And as we all know, our open space is finite. As the document states, we must preserve our quality of life by protecting open spaces and reducing the negative impacts associated with new developments. So we need to adhere to the plan without overburdening our current infrastructure. We also need to accommodate stormwater management into the plan. That needs to include retention basins and the preservation of permeable surfaces. So when township officials do not follow the guidance of the master plan, but assert their power to manipulate or change it, we end up with huge mistakes such as the Barclay Square development, which is slated to be built on our wetlands, which will surely exacerbate our flooding as well as contaminate our drinking water. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, question number 3 from Ms. Roth. It's about the budget. Taxes are always a serious concern for Homedale residents. Do you have any suggestions for keeping a tighter rein on spending? And what should our priorities be?
Yes, so all of our expenses need to be examined. I would recommend an internal audit of every department because we need to make sure that everything we're doing is cost effective. We need to eliminate all wasteful spending, and we need to eliminate the accumulation of short-term debt because past county-sponsored candidates have been happy to accumulate short-term debt, which is not good for us. It's toxic because we only pay the interest and we don't pay any principal. I would also recommend seeking out all additional possible grant opportunities and streamlining our expenses while maintaining our current infrastructure. We cannot continue to do things like raid the swim club revenue while we're letting the facility fall into disrepair. So for example, this summer, the dive tank leaked continuously. We were continuously filling the dive tank with water because of an unaddressed leak. So I can only imagine what that did to the township's water bill, much less how irresponsible it was during a time of drought and water conservation. It was not fiscally responsible or environmentally responsible. So fiscal responsibility relies on total transparency, and we simply cannot afford to mismanage funds in that way. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Mohan, please.
Sure. It is important to prevent a monopoly in town hall. Power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. We all know that. We must not let that happen in Homedale. Cronyism leads to corruption. I will bring accountability and transparency in the functioning of Homedale Township, just like I've done in my leadership positions that I've held over many years. Solutions to addressing problems in spending lie in formulating and following open, transparent processes. I also bring a common sense, evidence-based management approach to fiscal responsibility. I do have an MBA. Such an approach to serving people and managing large budgets has produced results for me over many years, which I've been successful in. By using such tactics, we will increase efficiencies, eliminate waste, and would result in savings, which help in reducing the tax burden on residents. Now that the short-term debt is converted to long-term, and we should be mindful of that, we can use the Bellworks pilot money for about $4 to $5 million per year to reduce the tax burden on Homedale residents. The Homedale residents know how to spend their money better than the government. We should let them.
Thank you. Okay, question 4 for Dr. Mohan. This is about fire protection. Another home in southern Homedale recently burned to the ground. This is after the opening of our new firehouse. What can we do to improve the town's emergency services? Do you support a partially paid fire department to improve response times and increase membership?
I do not believe it is that simple. It must be a multifaceted approach. We do not want to have a different class amongst firemen and women, or brave firemen and women. I believe letters of thanks to our brave firemen and women can be given only so many times, after which they become just lip service. We should incentivize all volunteer firemen, not just a few, not a salaried staff, but some sort of a quarterly, 6-monthly, yearly bonus to all volunteers. It should be tied to metrics. For example, response times, less injuries, safety metrics, community outreach. Second would be training, cross-training with other fire stations on a regular basis. We should also do our own after-action review, not to point fingers, but to have zero errors. And an outside review, which our partner stations can do for us and we can do for them. This will only improve the quality of our response times and safety metrics and help our own firemen and women to take better care of our own community. I think there is a lot we can do, but it's not just that simple. But we should definitely reward our firemen and women with some sort of a monetary benefit. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Ms. Roth.
Thank you. And I am thankful for everyone in our town that worked so hard to make our new centrally located firehouse a reality. We need to do everything we can to support our volunteer firefighters who do so much to protect not only our lives, but our property. I would consult with other towns and our own town's emergency service personnel just to gather input. And I would recommend increasing drills and training exercises to make them strategically designed to navigate the trees and the challenging terrain in our town. We also should note that the recent fire was fed by a natural gas line, and our first responders had no authority to shut off that gas, which I find outrageous. I think we need to do research into how we can give them that authority to use in times and cases of emergency. We should also note that the firehouse was fully staffed at the time of that fire, so membership was not an issue. I'm not in favor of a partially paid fire department, as I believe that could create relationship issues within the firehouse that would have the potential to negatively impact response times in the future.
Thank you. Okay, question number 5 starting with Ms. Roth. This is about New Jersey natural gas. The New Jersey Board of Public Utilities will soon decide whether to allow the New Jersey natural gas application to construct a regulator station that will transport natural gas through Homedale to the Raritan Bay. The Homedale Zoning Board twice denied variances and waivers connected to this project. If elected, would you vote to continue financing the legal battle to oppose New Jersey Natural Gas's plans for this regulator station?
Well, I am hopeful that the BPU judge will decide against New Jersey Natural Gas's application, as our zoning board was right to deny the variances and the waivers. New Jersey Natural Gas has not shown adequate benefit or need to the Township of Homedale. The property is not zoned for industrial use. It would surely cause a decrease in home values, but most importantly, there are high risks to our air quality and our water quality from waste emissions, and we cannot put a price on our health. So my answer is yes, I would vote to continue to finance the legal battle to oppose NJNG's plan for this regulator station if it comes to that. Thank you.
Thank you. And Dr. Mohan.
There is no verifiable or demonstrable benefit that the regulator station would provide for the residents of Homedale. The area at risk has homes nearby and is not zoned for industrial use. In addition, there are risks of toxic gases and chemicals associated with the required cleaning of filters. This could be a potential risk to the residential neighborhoods. At a minimum, property values are likely to decrease if the regulator station is allowed. In addition, fire hazard risk would increase. The only beneficiary in this is the NJNG, which will profit and make money while causing financial loss for Homedale residents and at the expense of the health and well-being of the people living in Homedale. Therefore, we must aim to win the case and prevent the construction of the regulator station in Homedale.
Thank you. Okay, question number 6. This is about the enclave known as the Dementia Center. And it's for Dr. Mohan. Do you support the construction of the Dementia Center at the former Potter's Farm? Why or why not?
The proposed dementia center construction is on private property. For the dementia center construction to be approved, it must satisfy the requirements as per the zoning board, which is independent from the township committee. It would be inappropriate and potentially illegal for the township committee to influence the zoning board one way or the other. No matter what our personal preferences may be, if the private property owner satisfies all rules, regulations, and requirements, then there is not much the zoning board or the township committee could do to prevent the end result. However, if the property owner does not satisfy requirements, then the dementia center does not get constructed. It's as simple as that. I don't think it's that complicated.
Thank you. And Ms. Roth?
Yes, as Dr. Mohan stated, this is an issue for the zoning board, which is independent from the township committee, but I will share my personal views. While I do believe the concept is worthwhile, Potter's Farm is just not the right location for this, mainly because of inconsistencies with the master plan, as we discussed before. The enclave development would not comply with Homedale's existing zoning ordinances, and we need to follow the guidance of the master plan, because when we do not, we set dangerous precedences that could come back as for future development. So I'm also concerned about the impervious coverage they're proposing. They're proposing almost 22%, and the maximum allowed is only 15%. So look, our town is currently investing hundreds of thousands of dollars in studying of stormwater management, and we will likely have to spend a lot more to alleviate downstream flooding. So it just simply doesn't make sense to approve development that would exacerbate our stormwater management issues. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, our final question, starting with Ms. Roth, is about township morale. The Township Committee has been plagued by a divisive and hostile culture, which has led to an unprecedented exodus in staff and months without a township administrator. How will you work to bring committee members together to achieve consensus, provide stability, and move forward with the important work of improving our town?
Well, it's no wonder that there's discontent and division at Town Hall when they've been without a full-time administrator since February. Also, the behavior of some of our current township committee members is embarrassing and dysfunctional. They're not serving our town, but rather their own personal and party agendas. And those who work with them know this, and it's demoralizing. But Dr. Mohan and I, we know how to listen respectfully to diverse opinions, and we know how to engage in intelligent, rational debates. I want to hear and understand opinions that differ from my own so that I can make informed decisions. So there would be no more obstructionism. We would never even think of shirking our duties to manipulate quorums or bend agendas and votes to our will or leave a crucial role unfilled or vacant for months at a time. Rather, we would hire an administrator who would bring the right kind of leadership to the job and invest our time and energy in serving Homedale and working as a team with everyone at Town Hall, because that's what we would be. We both have extensive backgrounds in successfully managing teams of personnel, and it would be a privilege to apply that experience while working alongside others at Town Hall for the betterment of our town.
Thank you. And Dr. Mohan.
So I was invited to help lead the turnaround of a hospital, one on which many had given up. The hospital became a success within a year, increasing services, quality, and profitability to many people in a surprisingly short period of time, and to their amazement. I have a very common sense, personal, agenda-less, evidence-based approach to finding solutions to complex problems, which has stood the test of time. Innovation, critical thinking, team building, and treating people and co-workers with empathy, dignity, and respect is, I believe, key to successful outcomes. As a member of senior leadership, my team is in one of the largest organizations in New Jersey, received the highest employee engagement survey scores. Using such an approach, I have delivered positive results. As a cardiologist with a critical care mindset and an MBA, procrastination does not belong in my vocabulary. Every problem that needs to be solved, in my mind, is time sensitive, and we will do just that.
Thank you. Okay, now it's time for closing statements. You have 1.5 minutes each, and Ms. Roth will start.
Well, like many residents, Dr. Mohan and I are frustrated with the inefficiencies of our local government, where partisan politics and the extreme polarization that accompanies it are getting in the way of good government. We saw this during recent September Township Committee meetings, where timely decisions were left undone, committee members failed to show up, and undisclosed agenda items, including an unethical partisan appointment, were added without due notice to residents. We want to restore integrity, transparency, and accountability to our local government. Dr. Mohan and I can offer you honesty, hard work, and an independent voice. We will restore civility to local discourse by modeling it. We will invest our time and energy in serving Homedale, not fighting amongst ourselves. Hey, I have a 5-year-old at home that I do enough of that with. I'm not going to come to Town Hall and do that there. And Homedale is a kind and caring community. We all know that. Our dialogue and our behavior should reflect that. So we can unite in service to one another. So I'm asking you to let it begin with us, not just the two of us, but all of us. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. And Dr. Mohan.
Thank you again, Silu and the League of Women Voters, and most importantly, the people of Homedale for challenging us. We do not shy away from public forums or scrutiny, and would not take Homedale residents for granted, unlike our opponents who did not show up today. We are here to serve. I'm always eager to roll up my sleeves and go to work on the front lines with my team, just as I did during the COVID pandemic. I'm not afraid of accountability and transparency. I enjoy and strive to know the pulse of the people, no pun intended, coming from a cardiologist. And that helps me gain knowledge about issues in real time, so as to tackle them at the outset before they snowball. This approach helped me when I was treating COVID patients, along with doctors and nurses on the front lines, as that is where I learned about the challenges in real time, instead of waiting for the information to come to me in the boardroom. As a result, as Chief Medical Officer, I made tough decisions and calls that resulted in good outcomes and were appreciated while messaging the same things about the pandemic to the people in the community. That resulted in no employee deaths in my hospital due to hospital-acquired COVID, unlike many hospitals in New Jersey and New York. I recently climbed Mount Kilimanjaro, the world's highest freestanding mountain and highest mountain in Africa, just as a tribute to the COVID healthcare workers and their families, because people are forgetting about them. It was a grueling and humbling experience. It reminded me of the importance of developing a healthy respect for the unknown. I implore all Homedale residents to leave nothing to chance. Julie and I and Homedale count on your vote. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you to both of you. I want to thank all the candidates who are taking their time out of their lives for the betterment of the town. Thank you also for the attendees for participating in the governmental process. I have a few things to say about the election. Everything you need to know about deadlines, polling locations, even tutorials on how to vote on the voting machines is located on an excellent website that the county has called www.monmouthcountyvotes.com. I'll outline just a few points. The deadline to register to vote is next week, October 18th. Election day this year will occur on Tuesday, November 8th. There are 3 ways that you can vote. You can vote by mail, you can vote early, or you can vote on election day. If you want to vote by mail, the deadline to apply for a vote by mail ballot is November 1st or November 7th if you go in person to the Board of Elections in Freehold. Once you fill out your vote by mail ballot, you have a few options. It can be mailed, it can be put in a ballot drop box, or taken to the Board of Election office. If you mail your ballot, it must be postmarked by election day. If you want to use a drop box, they're available at the Homedale Senior Community Center, the Motor Vehicles Agency at Airport Plaza, and in many township municipal buildings. Again, it's all on the website. If you decide to vote early voting runs from October 29th through November 6th. Polls for early voting are open from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. on Monday to Saturday and 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Sunday. The polling stations for early voting are different from those for voting on election day. The 2 closest early polling locations for Homedale are at the Colts Neck Library and the James Cullen Center in Hazlet. If you choose to vote on election day, your last choice, polls are open from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. and polling locations are listed on the website based on your district. Another little note for those who aren't aware, the congressional district for Homedale has changed this year. We are now in District 3. So the New Jersey candidates for the U.S. House of Representatives on the ballot in November will be Republican Bob Healy and Democrat Andy Kim. Just so happens that the League of Women Voters did a candidate forum for these 2 candidates last night. They did record it, and it's not on their website yet, but it will be shortly. You go to it's League of Women Voters, Burlington County. So it's LWVBURLCO.org. LWVBURLCO.org. Okay, that's it for election information. Thank you again to everyone who attended. We hope you gained insight into the candidates to help you in deciding how to vote. Voting is a privilege as well as a civic responsibility, and we are grateful that you are taking the time to learn about the candidates. Your presence shows that you care about our town. If you missed any aspects of this event or you want to watch it again, the link to the forum will be posted on our Facebook page, or you can watch it on our YouTube channel. Now about our next meeting. This will be a fun and in-person meeting finally at the Senior Community Center on Monday, November 21st at 7:30. It will feature Homedale residents Larry and Janet Jackal, who are retired AT&T physicists, and they will give a presentation on the 2019 National Geographic cruise to Antarctica. For more information about this presentation, or to learn about CELU, or to even become a member, you can go to our website at www.homedale-celu.org, or you can always reach out to Karen and I. So I want to thank you for your attention, everyone, and good night.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Thank you all for coming.
Good night.